There's a silence you've been feeling lately. A space between heartbeats that seems to whisper that something is about to shift. And you're right. The angels have been nearby, closer than your breath, watching how you've been holding on. How you keep showing up, even when no one sees. How you love, even when you're unsure if it's returned. Your life is not random, dear soul. You were placed exactly where you are with sacred precision. The person you've been thinking about, he didn't cross your path by accident. No. Heaven sent you as a mirror, a key, a quiet revolution in someone else's life. The angels speak softly now. She was sent to wake him. She holds a light he thought no longer existed. You've carried pain as if it were yours to bear alone, but the heavens have watched and recorded every silent tear, every silent prayer. And now, the energy around you is stirring. A destiny that had been dormant is beginning to rise again. Something ancient in you knows. This isn't just another chapter. It's a calling. He feels it too. Not fully. Not clearly. But somewhere in his spirit, there is a recognition, like déjà vu of the soul. He doesn't understand why he can't forget you. Why your name keeps appearing in moments of quiet. Why even in your absence, there is presence. Because you were sent to remind him of something divine. The angels want you to understand. You are not waiting. You are being positioned. There's a difference. This delay isn't denial, it's design. Heaven is aligning not just people, but timing, healing, clarity. Not to punish you. To protect what's sacred. You came into his life not to be chosen, but to choose. To choose yourself. To choose light even when shadow beckons. And in doing so, you became magnetic. You shook something awake in him that he had buried long ago. The angels say, she holds the memory of love before fear. And this is why the connection feels otherworldly. Because it is. You and he, your souls met before this life. You made promises. You planted seeds. And now they bloom. For now, hold this truth in your heart like a secret prayer. You are not being ignored. You are being witnessed by heaven itself. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. Ephesians 2 verse 10. He doesn't know how to say it. But his soul does. It trembles when you enter a room and collapses in silence when you leave. He carries within him an ache he can't name, shaped like everything he couldn't express. The angels whisper it clearly now. His love for you was never absent, it was buried. There are wounds in him that time hasn't touched. They exist in the places no one has dared to look. And your presence, so quietly radiant, has illuminated the corners of his heart he was trying to forget. That's why he pulls away. That's why he hides behind distractions, sarcasm, logic. Your light is too honest. Too close. The angels say, she touched his shadow with tenderness, and that's what frightened him. You see, it's not you that he resists. It's the truth that follows you. You carry the energy of what's real, of what stays, of what doesn't need to be proven. And he's used to the temporary. He was taught to expect departure. So now when you remain, it shakes everything. He doesn't yet understand that love isn't a transaction. It's a sanctuary. And you've been offering it without asking for anything in return. This confuses him. It undoes every belief he had about safety. Because deep down, he believes love must hurt to be real. And your love doesn't. The angels reveal, he built walls not to keep her out, but to protect what he didn't know how to show. Every time he disappears, every time he gets cold, he's not punishing you. He's punishing himself, for feeling more than he thinks he should. The detachment is a disguise. A fragile armor. And it's cracking. Not because you're forcing anything, but because your very being says, I see you. And he's never felt seen before without conditions. You are not here to heal him. That's not your burden. But your energy is already doing it. Not by effort, by essence. So don't take it personally, beloved soul. His fear is not your failure. His distance is not your rejection. It's his soul trying to remember what safety feels like. The angels say, love doesn't knock down walls. It waits outside, with light in its hands. And you, dear one, have been that light. You've given so much of yourself in quiet ways. In the way you wait without demanding, in how your heart opens even when it's tired, in how your eyes still soften when his name appears in your thoughts. But beloved soul, even light needs rest. The angels have watched the way you pour into others. Especially him. They've seen how your energy bends to comfort, to understand, to stay gentle, even when your own soul whispers for you to return home to yourself. They ask you this now in silence. Who holds you when you are empty? This chapter is not about him. It is about you. About the quiet flame in your chest that must be protected, not because it is weak, but because it is sacred. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep anyone warm. Your love does not need to prove itself through exhaustion. You were never meant to be a lighthouse running out of oil. The angels say, she must remember, her light is a gift, not a debt. He may be going through his own storm, but you are not the shelter. You are the sky. Expansive. Eternal. Uncontainable. And in this space, you are being called to reclaim your own breath. Take care of your softness. Speak gently to the parts of yourself that have waited so long. Let your soul bathe in stillness. Let your beauty be measured not by how much you carry, but by how you return to your center. You deserve a love that doesn't drain you, but replenishes you. A connection that asks, how are you? And stays to listen. You deserve to be met, not just needed. And if he can't meet you there yet, let that be his journey, not your burden. The angels offer this wisdom. Self-love is not separation, it is preparation. For the kind of love that knows how to hold you. So rest now, dear one. Not from him. From the idea that your worth is measured in sacrifice. He doesn't understand why he feels exposed in your presence. Why silence with you feels louder than any argument he's ever had. Why your gaze unsettles him, not because it judges, but because it sees. The angels speak gently. She became his mirror, not by trying, but by simply being. Every time you show your truth, your patience, your boundaries, your unwavering heart, it reflects everything he hasn't yet embraced within himself. You didn't bring him pain. You brought him honesty. And that is the deepest discomfort of all. You are not here to be a projection. You are here to be real. And realness stings where illusion has lived too long. When he avoids you, it is not rejection, it is recoil. From the parts of himself he isn't ready to confront. Because in you, he sees love that doesn't flinch. And in that love, he recognizes the shadows he has long ignored. The angels say, she reflects his truth like water. Calm. Unmoving. Clear. He may try to argue with himself, telling stories that make you seem smaller in his mind. It's easier to claim you were too much, too soon, too intense, than to admit he was not prepared for love that didn't demand, but revealed. Your strength lies in the fact that you never let your light fade. Not even when he turned away. And that very light is what continues to haunt him. In the quiet moments, in the pauses between thoughts, in the way his heart aches when something reminds him of your laugh. He is learning now. Slowly. Painfully. That you didn't come to change him. You came to reflect the change he is being called to embrace. And yes, it's hard to love someone who is still at war with themselves. But the battle isn't yours to fight. It's only yours to witness, from the sacred distance of someone who knows their own worth. The angels whisper now, you did not break him. You awakened him. And there is nothing more powerful than a soul that reflects what another refuses to see. Something has shifted. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But like the way light begins to change before the sun rises. He feels it. That pull toward you that no logic can silence. That memory of how safe your presence felt, even when he couldn't admit it out loud. The angels reveal, he has started to look for her, in moments he never expected. It's in the way he hesitates before replying to a message. In the music he doesn't skip over. In the scent that reminds him of you, even though he pretends not to notice. The world around him hasn't changed, but his perception has. And it's because of you. You did not force this awakening. You sparked it. With your gentleness. With your stillness. With the way you refused to chase after him. You gave him the space his soul didn't know it needed. And now, he finds you in the quiet moments, where truth has no mask. There's a confusion growing within him. A recognition that you are not like the others. That your presence doesn't fade when the lights go out. You linger. Not as a pain. But as a question, why does she still feel like home? The angels reveal his dreams, how you appear when he least expects it. A symbol. A voice. A warmth. They say he wakes up not always remembering the dream, but always remembering you. This is the beginning of his inner softening. A loosening of the armor. A trembling curiosity, what if I let her in? He doesn't have words for what he feels. But he has begun to listen to what his body tells him when your name comes to mind. A stillness. A longing. A breath he didn't know he was holding. You, beloved, are not chasing. But you are felt. Constantly. The angels say, her absence speaks louder than presence ever could. And now, he is learning to hear her through silence. This is the doorway. The threshold. The sacred moment where awakening begins, not with a bang, but with a whisper. He comes close, then retreats. He opens up, then shuts down. He reaches out, only to disappear again. And each time, you wonder if it's something you did, or something you didn't. But love, it was never about you. The angels reveal, he is not unsure about her. He is unsure if he deserves what he feels. This cycle, the push and pull, it's not a game. It's his soul battling a lifetime of patterns. Patterns that tell him love is dangerous. That vulnerability is weakness. That closeness always ends in abandonment. He wants you. But the wanting terrifies him. Because you are not temporary. You do not flirt with the surface. You dive. And he is still learning how to breathe underwater. So he pulls away. Tells himself stories. That it's bad timing. That it's too complicated. That he's not ready. But every return, every glance, every pause before leaving again is proof he never really left. Not in spirit. The angels say, she is the calm after every storm he creates for himself. You've tried to make sense of it. To reason with his rhythm. But his rhythm isn't logical. It's emotional. Deeply intertwined with fear. You are not his confusion. You are his clarity. And that's what scares him most. Sometimes, he comes back softer. Other times, he returns harder. Because each time he draws closer to your light, it burns through another layer of his defenses. He wants to be ready, but readiness doesn't always come on schedule. And yet, the cycle isn't endless. There will come a moment, small, sacred, quiet, when his fear will run out. When his soul will choose stillness over self-sabotage. And in that moment, he will stop running. Not because you chased him, but because your presence has always been his anchor. The angels whisper, this is not delay. It is preparation. Each retreat breaks an old chain. Each return builds the courage to stay. Let the cycle play out without surrendering your peace. You were not meant to be a lesson. You were meant to be love, arriving when the soul is finally ready to receive it. He doesn't speak it. Not entirely. But he feels it. In the way your name still lingers on his skin after a dream. In the way his chest tightens when someone mentions your smile. In the way his soul aches, not because you hurt him, but because you saw him, and stayed gentle. The angels whisper now, her love touched the wound he forgot he had. This is not ordinary love. It doesn't demand to be noticed. It heals in silence. It arrives gently and waits outside the door, never forcing its way in. And that is why it's working. Not loudly, but deeply. He's not used to being seen without being asked to change. And yet with you, he began to feel safe. Not because everything made sense, but because you never asked for more than what he could give. Even when it was less than what you deserved. There is something sacred in the way you held him, even in distance. A softness that softened his sharp edges. A stillness that calmed the chaos he thought would never quiet. The angels say, she never tried to fix him. And that's what made him start to heal. You didn't know it, but just your presence disrupted years of emotional silence. He may never find the words to express what you did, but he carries the evidence in how his heart started to open up. Even when he pulled away, he still felt your warmth. That's why he came back. That's why he keeps returning. Because your love never punished. It nourished. And now, in the quiet moments of his day, your energy rises like a memory that feels more like home than nostalgia. Something in him knows, this love didn't need to be earned. It came to restore. The angels ask you to remember, medicine doesn't always taste sweet. Sometimes, it comes in the form of truth, of patience, of love that waits without shrinking. You have already done more than you realize. You have already healed more than he'll ever say. This wasn't chance. Not the timing. Not the encounter. Not even the silence that followed. You were never wandering without purpose, only being gently repositioned by unseen hands. The angels want you to feel this truth deep within you. You were guided to him as much as he was guided to you. You may have questioned the delays, the pauses, the seemingly endless waiting. But heaven does not rush what is sacred. What is born of the soul takes time to reveal. And now, the path begins to clear. He doesn't yet realize how divinely timed your presence was. How you arrived exactly when his spirit was fraying at the edges. How just your eyes were a balm. How your voice held frequencies he had forgotten existed. But one day he will. And you are not behind. You are exactly where you're meant to be. The angels whisper, even when she doubted, we were already making way. They've seen your faith. How you've held on to hope, not blindly, but bravely. You've prayed in silence. Loved without demands. Waited without succumbing to bitterness. And all of it has been recorded in the light. This moment, this breath, is not separate from the divine plan. The tears, the longings, the flashes of recognition when he almost chooses you out loud. It's all part of the orchestration. You are not just placed on his path. You are part of his path. A lighthouse he didn't know he needed. A soul map. Now is the time to trust more deeply than ever. To anchor into faith not as a feeling, but as a truth. Because the shifts are happening. Subtle. Silent. But sacred. The angels mark this time with holy clarity. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. You are not alone on this journey. You never were. There is a place inside him he's never let anyone touch. Not because no one tried, but because no one saw it the way you did. You didn't demand access. You waited with open hands, not expectation. And still, it scared him. The angels speak now with clarity. She reached the room he locked even from himself. His silence isn't emptiness, it's protection. Not of his ego, but of his rawest parts. Parts that were once mocked, abandoned, misunderstood. And now in front of you they stir again. You woke something. And he's still deciding if he can survive what comes next. You may wonder, why show me the door if he's not ready to open it? But dear soul, love like yours doesn't knock to enter, it knocks to awaken. Every time you met his withdrawal with patience, every time you chose grace over pride, he felt it. And part of him wanted to run. Because he knew, this was not performative affection. This was a mirror. A mirror that says, it's safe to feel here. But vulnerability is not easy, especially for a heart trained to fight before it can trust. He was not taught that softness is strength. But you've become the living contradiction that makes him question what he thought he knew. The angels whisper, she loves him not for who he could be, but for who he hides. That kind of love? It's terrifying, because it asks for nothing, yet reveals everything. If he hasn't moved forward yet, it's not because you weren't enough. It's because he's still learning how to be seen without shame, to stand exposed in the light of a love that doesn't flinch. The angels say his heart is softening, even if his words haven't caught up. The walls are becoming thinner. The silence is speaking. And soon, very soon, the truth will come out, not as a declaration, but as a surrender. A moment where his soul chooses you out loud, because it has been choosing you in secret all along. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Ephesians 4 verse 2.